You made me see you're the only one I need. Oh, I don't know.
Where would I be?
Where
would I be if you had never heard a prayer?
I didn't have to love my Lord. Oh,
what would I do?
Lord knows
What would I do if I didn't have you to be there for me?
I thank you, Lord.
Where would I be?
Where would
Where
I
would
be?
I be if you had never heard a prayer from
Without
me?
the love of my Lord.
What would I do?
This is Whcr 90.3 on the FM dial, coming to you from the campus of City College in Harlem, USA. I'm Brother Leroy, and the program that you're about to hear, Respect for Life, does not reflect the views, attitudes, whims, deeds, or any other proclivities of the management of WHCR, nor that of the administration of City College. However, the program does reflect the research done by the participants in the program, live and live in color, in studio by phone interview, and of course, there's you, ladies and gentlemen, the first-class citizens of the world. The telephone number here is 212-650-6903, 650-6903. This morning on Respect for Life, which is dedicated to giving information that will enable us to live a more balanced life, enabling us to preserve what we have and to recapture what we may have temporarily lost. Today's program relates to all the women in the audience. Each and every woman in the audience. Okay, we missed that. Let's see what we do here now. Hold on a second. All right. Waiting for our guests. We have two guests coming in this morning by line. These are grandmothers. And the story they tell is one of attempting to reclaim their grandchildren. And these are women who have fought that fight outside of New York State. This is an epidemic of foster care being used to take black children, and in many cases placing them into non-black homes. And those non-black homes are making money from these black children under the guise of being in a position to care for these children better than the grandparents. Sister Dorothy Dunning. Sister Dorothy Dunning.
This is Sister Jennings.
Willie Mae?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Waiting for Sister Dorothy to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have two grandmothers who will be telling their stories. They met while one was fighting and is fighting to reclaim her children, her grandchildren. Sister Dunning.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the reason that we have them on is that this relates to other interviews that we've done with Sister Sharon Salam right here, People United for Children. Those are the first interviews that I did several years ago relating to how New York City has systematically taken and kept children in foster care and depriving the family of the children who grew up in their homes or the bloodline. And in these cases, there is the fact that there's money made. Now, those of us who've not come into contact with the foster care system, don't necessarily know. And if a child is designated as being mentally challenged or special needs, there's even more money. So the more children that are in these foster homes that don't care for them, the more money is being churned off of black bodies. Well, our first guest, or my first introduction, is Sister Dorothy Dunning of Biloxi, Mississippi, and she will tell us how she met Sister Willie Mae in her journey to reclaim her grandchildren. Sister Dorothy Dunning, thank you for joining us. Sister Willie Mae, thank you for joining us. And Sister Dorothy Dunning, please share with us your story in as capsule form as possible.
Okay, my name, like you said, my name is Dorothy Dunning. I'm from Goshen, Mississippi. It's about 20 minutes from Biloxi, Mississippi. And I come in contact with the welfare system in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in Henderson County, 3 years ago. I discovered that my granddaughter was in foster care, and at the time she was just barely 3 months old. And Minnesota has a law that they said that they're supposed to contact me. Minnesota did not contact me at all. And then I had relatives in Minnesota that been living there over 20-something years. None of my relatives, no one was contacted. But when I discovered the baby was there, I have been fighting ever since for 3 years to get the baby, to get my granddaughter. At the time, it was just one, but it was another baby born, and I've been fighting to get that baby. So my granddaughters are 3 and 2, and I have been fighting for 3 years. And the system, when I discovered the baby was in there, I called, and I been trying to get up there. And the first time that I called, I asked them, can I fly out to Minnesota to visit with the grandkids? They blocked me for a year and a half. They deliberately blocked me from visiting. And what they was doing, I found out through Miss Willie Mae, is they was laying the groundwork in order to take the children. They told me that I had to go to school. I went to school, and after I go to school, it was one thing. After I did the background check, it was another thing. It was just a delayed tactic. Everything is a delayed tactic in order for the state to keep these children to make money off of them. It's the lady that have my grandchildren. She have 4 of her own and 5 other children. And me and my husband have no one in the home. And we was approved by the state of Mississippi saying that we was physically and financially able to take care of the granddaughters. But the judge overruled both welfare departments in order to take my grandchildren and let this Caucasian family have my grandbabies.
This is the judge in Minnesota.
The judge in Minnesota.
Okay, let's go back just a second. When you find out that your children, that you have actually a grandchild 3 years ago, and that grandchild is in Minnesota, you immediately attempt to gain custody and control of that child.
That is correct.
And you call, and they say, no, it's not, you don't have to come out right now, or it's not good for you to come out right now. Whatever they tell you is a delaying tactic, which would, the greater the time
that is correct.
Period between someone coming for that child, signing papers, etc., who is akin to that child, the stronger their position is in keeping that child in their foster care system.
Yes, that is correct, because immediately I asked them, can I fly out the next morning? And they told me no. They told me I had to go to school and I had to have a background check. But due to all that, I found out that you don't really have to go through all that. They could have immediately gave me a background check, and my grandchildren could have been placed in my home. And also, which I knew it was a small tactic, is that my sister was already licensed. She was already a foster care provider.
In Mississippi or?
In Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
She was already a foster care provider in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So the lady, Mrs. Hinton from the welfare department in Mississippi, which is the supervisor, told me, she said, Miss Dunning, your sister's already licensed. She said, tell them that we can bring their kids in under your sister until you get your license situated.
Mm-hmm.
So I passed that on to them to tell them, hey, my sister's already licensed. My grandkids can come on. That means when she already licensed, her home have already been checked and
mm-hmm.
everything has been properly taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't even allow that. They wouldn't even allow my sister to come in and take custody of the children. It is a money-making business. This is what this is. This is a totally money-making business. It is a new form of slavery on black children. It is a new form of slavery.
At what point, Sister Dorothy Dunning, were you able to crystallize that notion in your mind that you've just shared with us? At what point in your journey?
Because when I kept seeing the stall taxes, when we every time that we were asked something, the judge would deny it. And I'll say, when we went to court, after a year and a half, before I can even visit, that's when I really started putting two and two together, because they was telling me, you got to do this, you got to do that. But every time we did something, it wasn't enough. So I came to the conclusion, after a year and a half, I was trying to do what they told me on my own, thinking I'm doing what I needed to do, and I saw it wasn't happening. So what happened was, I kept calling them one day. Let me get this part out. I kept calling them one day, and they never would answer me. And this had been going on for about 2 or 3 weeks. So I went to the lady that I work for, which is my boss, and I told her, I said, I cannot get them to answer my phone call. She said, that's okay, Dorothy. She said, my husband went to school with the governor of Mississippi. My boss lady made one phone call. Within 1 hour, they called me, where I had been calling them for 3 weeks, and this is on court record, that they wouldn't answer me. Come to find out, they was trying to pull a fast one on me. They had a court date set up for a foster mom to go in there to adopt my grandchildren. And so she was going to try to slip and adopt them, and then they was going to say no one was here present to contest it. So the minute I found out, just by, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and they are trying to get away with it if we don't stand up as a community all over the nation and start fighting for our grandchildren, our loved ones. They is out. We are out for a new, I can't say the proper word, awakening.
A rude awakening.
A rude awakening. We's out for a rude awakening, because since I've been doing this, I have found out people have contacted me from all different states going through the same thing. This is a new money-making business. They build rooms onto your house, and you don't have to pay a dime. They do everything. You don't have to pay a dime. And I asked them in court, let me take possession of my granddaughters, and I won't ask the state for a dime. I don't want anything. I will leave the state of Minnesota and never come back. I don't want anything. I just wanted my granddaughter. But they wouldn't even do that. But they ready to pay somebody else in order to keep them when they got a grandmother who have been proven and who have been fit and was saying that she was totally able to take care of the children. And this is the sad thing about it, is the foster mom. The judge asked her a question when we went to the Court of Appeal. They asked her lawyer. I got one question that's really bothering me. Can you tell me why did you make a statement that you would never allow this grandmother to see her grandchildren? And her lawyer's statement was, it's because we had a heated trial. It's because I wouldn't back down and let them take possession of my grandchildren. So they want to show me that I got the power in order to take your grandchildren. But I am not going to back down. They thought that they had somebody who would cower down and just go away. But I'm not the one to cower down and go away. I am going to fight. I am asking the people to stand behind me and fight. And I thank the Lord for Miss Willie Mae. Miss Willie Mae saw the article in the paper that I was crying out for help. And Miss Willie Mae contacted me and have been helping me ever since. And Miss Willie Mae have informed me, because she's been in Minnesota over 50-something years, and she knows the system. And she have informed me that this is what they do. It is a stall tactic, and what they try to do, they try to financially ruin you in order so you won't fight anymore. But I want to thank the Lord for Miss Willie Mae, because I couldn't have made it without her and the good Lord and people coming behind me, like people helping me, even like you, a total stranger reaching out to me. And I just want to thank you for reaching out to me, because it's going to take all us in the community to pull together. It's going to take us to fight this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Respect for Life over WHCR 90.3 on the FM dial, asking you to call a neighbor or friend, tell them to tune in. Also, those who are outside the range of WHCR, you can have them listen by way of the internet, www.whcr.org. That's Harlem Community Radio, whcr.org, and they can listen by way of the internet. Our two lines are taken, so you can't call in. I'm sorry for that. That's all I have to work with. But the fact of the matter is, it's important for us to hear this story, because this is being repeated around the nation. A few weeks ago, we had Dr. Ernie Smith of California, and he was on telling us about some 75% of the children, black children in the public school system in California, are in foster care. An unbelievable percentage. What is happening to us? We cannot turn our heads away from a situation like this. It will creep into our own homes if we allow this to go unchallenged anywhere. Now, Sister Willa Mae, share with us your introduction to Sister Dorothy Dunning.
Well, first of all, my name is Mrs. Willie Mae Demings, and I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I happened to read an article in the paper entitled Family Preservation, the Dunnings Case. And when I read about this young woman, this young grandmother trying to get her great-grandchildren, it grieved my heart, because I had gone through the same thing a few years before. Now, I'm a great-grandmother. At that time, I was trying to get my great-grandchildren. And the judge had informed me that they weren't going to let me have them. And we went to court, and I went through all the stuff that Mrs. Dunning went through. I went through taking the classes. I went for the psychological stuff, and I did all that I was told to do. But they discriminated against me because of my age, because at that time I was somewhere around 70, maybe somewhere in there. And so my daughter and her husband ended up adopting the children. But I'm the one that fought for us to get them. And the reason that I was able to do it is because my great-grandchildren was part Native American and African American. Mm-hmm. So Native Americans have a law on the books that's called the Indian Child Welfare Act. It's called ICWA. And this law allows them to be able to keep their children in their communities with their families, if not with their families, with members of their community and with people that look like them. So it was because of this law that I was able to hold on to my grandchildren. But while I was going through this fight to get my grandchildren, I had them all the time. But our system here had allowed the tribal council to think that those children were in foster care with someone else. And so when the judge told me that they weren't going to let me have the kids, and after that she told me, well, you can go to the tribal council and talk to them if you want to. Well, this was the first time that we had even been told that we would be able to do anything like that. And the tribal council was located in South Dakota, which is about 600 miles from Minneapolis. But anyway, we went the next day to the tribal council to talk to them about getting the children. And when they found out that we already had them, they were surprised, and we took them with us there. So they got a chance to see that we had them and everything. So that's how we were able to adopt my great-grandchildren. We used to have a law on the books called the Minnesota Minority Child Heritage Protection Act that allowed us to be able to keep our children in our communities with us or with people that look like us because of their race and religion and so on and so forth. But we got stripped of that law. That law was appealed because there was a federal law, and the state law lined their law up to match the federal law, so it stripped away everything that connected our kids to us, every humane word that connected our children to us, and they put in the child's best interest. So this is what all the decisions are based on now, what's in the child's best interest, and that's how they make their decisions about who the children go to. So we in Minnesota need to get a law back like that again, and in other states need to get a law like that also.
A law like it had been prior to
Yes.
the change.
Yes.
Now, and
yes.
you, Sister Willie Mae, you indicated the humane language. For example, can you give some examples of the humane language?
It talked about the children being with people of their race, of their religious background, and being with family, you know, and like that. So that was all stripped out and pared down to what's in the best interest of the child. So that's why anybody and everybody can get our children except black people. Black people cannot get their own children because they craft the laws so that we are not allowed, you know, makes it hard for us to be able to do foster care, and it makes it hard for us to be able to adopt our children. But there again, it's because those laws are detrimental to the black community, but it's a very lucrative business to the Caucasian community because there's lots of money that's involved in adoption and foster care. So that's the problem that we're up against. And I went to court that day that Mrs. Dunning's case trial was going on, and I sat in that courtroom and I listened to everything that went on in that courtroom. I heard the other side's attorney just hijack the courtroom so that he just took it over and just bogarted everybody, and there wasn't any chance for anybody to really do anything. Mrs. Dunning did not get good legal representation from her attorney that could go into the transcript that they could build her case on when she did her appeal. So that's why her appeals has failed, because there was nothing there to support her case. But we went to the Court of Appeals, and now her case is before the state Supreme Court, and that they will be taking a look at and will be coming up with their decision on it. But that's what the problem has been, and the reason that I'm so interested in it is because, first of all, it happened to me with my great-grandchildren, and I watched it happen with families since 1954, how at that time they would even come into the nurseries and take the babies from their mothers, and when the mothers would go to the nursery to dress their child to bring it home, it's already gone.
Wait a minute. 1954?
54.
954.
954.
Not 1964 or 74.
1954.
Not when drugs is proliferating, but 1954.
1954, when they had the power and authority to do whatever it was that they wanted to do, that they're still doing. And the reason I can say this is at that time I had a child that was born November the 13th, 1954, which was a girl. A lady that I know, and I won't give her name, had a child born at the same time that was a boy. another lady had a child that was born at the same time, which was a boy. She had 12 children. The lady that had the first boy, they just took her baby. The lady that had the 12 children, they gave her a choice: give up that baby to keep her other children.
Wait a minute. Just go back. Just go back. Okay. I'm gonna play the Negro.
Okay.
All right. This lady must have been in a bad financial situation, husband abuse, mate abuse, for them to even zero in on her. And
they were welfare mothers. They were welfare mothers. The one lady did not have a husband. The other lady was separated from her husband but got pregnant by her husband. And the one baby was taken. The second baby was not taken because when I heard about it, I went to the hospital myself, and they assumed that I was a social worker coming to get the baby and let me have the baby. And I took the baby home with me and kept it, debating whether I wanted to keep him and raise him myself or find a home for him. And I found a home for him, and the people that adopted him, the people that they worked for, helped them to be able to do that. So that's why I know what has been going on for a long time. It's still happening, but the methods have changed, and we have the laws that works in people's favor and work against us. Now, my feelings about that is that I believe, my feeling is just that.
Hold your point for a moment while we identify ourselves as the Respect for Life program. We have two guests on the line, ladies and gentlemen, Sister Willa A. Demings and Sister Dorothy Dunning. Sister Willa A. Demings is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Sister Dorothy Dunning is calling us from Biloxi, Mississippi, and you're listening to
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
We're talking about stealing black babies for dollars. That's my title for this series of program, Stealing Black Babies for Dollars. You were saying what your feeling was, what your insight is.
Well, if I was writing a book, which I plan to do, my thinking would be that our welfare department and our juvenile court system is the welfare department is trafficking our kids, is hijacking our children, and our court system is trafficking them out to people of their choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so the law has been, like I say, has been used. My thinking is that there's misuse of power and abuse of power by the people that have been chosen to protect and serve us, and it's not happening that way. So I got really interested in this about 5 years ago when I took a class at the University of Minnesota and found out a lot of information that concerns probably the audience that you have now, the baby boomers, and how their lives are being affected by what's going on. And I began to get concerned about the grandchildren that they would have that would not be included in the plan that the states would have for them. So that's how I got interested, and I began to do research, and I found out that grandparents taking care of grandchildren, that it's an epidemic in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the main reason why when I read that and saw that, my goal was to raise the awareness of grandparents that and great grandparents that should be able to enjoy themselves in their latter years have to go back to taking care of their grandchildren and their great grandchildren, which we have always done. But I think that if we are going to do that, we should be allowed to have some of the monies that's going to other people that's taking care of our children and our great grandchildren. And I was just doing a little because it's a growing area of controversy by the courts to whether adoption by a child's grandparent is a viable alternative. And in some, they consider, sometimes it's just considered if the natural parent died or if the custodial parent is found to be unfit. So they come up with lots of reasons to keep grandmothers from getting their grandchildren. But some of the reason is that it's profitable for adoption agencies to be instrumental in it because they are paid daily. And the longer that they hold our children, the more money is being made for the agency.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that I can't take any calls. I have these two lines that are taken up, and I know that there are those of you out there in the audience who want to interact. And I will say this, that tomorrow night on the internet, I'm sorry for those individuals who do not have internet, but tomorrow night on internet, I will be interviewing these two young ladies again regarding the same matter and expanding on the discussion. And that's on Blog Talk Radio. That would be, for those of you who have internet, blogtalkradio.com/The Keys 107. blogtalkradio.com/The Keys 107. I'm on tomorrow night from 7 until 10. And we'll be dealing with white supremacy in the first 2 hours with Brother Neely Fuller. And then from 9 until 10, we'll be interviewing these two young ladies. Let me give you a telephone number. Tomorrow night, you can listen by way of the phone. Telephone number 213-943-3618. 213-943-3618, and you'll be able to listen by telephone if you don't have internet access. Once again, these are two grandmothers who are giving us an insight in terms of Minnesota. And a few weeks ago, we had Dr. Ernie Smith, who was giving us insight into what's going on in California. Here in New York, Sister Sharon Salam has given us insight into what's going on in New York City. And she's been doing that for a number of years since her son, Yusuf, was one of the young brothers falsely accused and convicted of the Central Park jogger rape that is going to court tomorrow, and we'll have more on that. But in the meantime, Sister Dunning, you have been fighting this fight, and you've learned a lot during the course of your fight for your grandchildren. What has come your way? I know people have connected with you by way of your Facebook and told you of stories. In fact, tell us your Facebook page so folks can go there and pick up information.
Yes, my Facebook page is Dorothy, Dorothy, Dunning, Dunning. And it's just type in Dorothy Dunning, and you can go on there and read all the stories and all the feedback from different people who have this story have touched, and how I met the different ones who are going through the same thing that I'm going through with. And you can go on my Facebook page, and you can see it is open. It's not blocked. And I want people to see, and I want people to rally rally behind me. Just go and read the stories. And also, I really would like for people, Miss Willie Mae Dennis and them have set up a fund for me at the TCF Bank in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that fund is to help me get backwards and forwards to Minnesota. Because what happened is I am in a struggle now to get backwards and forwards to Minnesota and paying legal bills. But that is their way of trying to cripple me. But I want them to know as our peoples and us, we're going to stand up and we're going to band together. And my number one goal is I want to make a difference. Even when I get my grandchildren, I will not stop fighting for someone else. I will continue to fight this fight to help someone else. This is what came to me. I want to be like a Rosa Parks, and I want to be like a Dr. Martin Luther King. If it costs me my life, I want to make a difference. I want to put a stop to human trafficking for our children and our grandchildren because we have grandparents and we have family members who are able to raise their grandchildren. And they based their minds talking about on the best interest of my grandchildren. They only going on the word of the Caucasian woman. It is in my file that my grandchildren have no special needs. There are no documentations that my grandchildren have special needs. It is only from the Caucasian woman's lips that they have these problems. And also, I would like to get this out there. I have recently have paperwork, and I have shared it with Mother Demons and other people, that where the time that we was in court, they were saying that my grandchildren have all these special needs. I have paperwork where they have been emailing each other backwards and forwards, the foster mom and the social workers and the guardian ad litem, where they are saying that my grandchildren are perfect, don't have no problem whatsoever. I have these papers, and I tried to get them introduced in court, and the judge wouldn't allow it. Because if she allowed these papers, that means it's going to blow their case out of water. And so we got to continue to fight this injustice. And this is what I want people to do. Reach out to the governor of Minnesota and flood their lines and tell them to give this grandmother, her grandchildren, this unjust. You can just go and type in the governor of Minnesota, and when you type in, you'll get his name. And you just voice your opinion. They have an opinion where you can voice your opinion. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get motivation behind us. We're trying to get this overturned, and we want to make a difference because my case, if it is overturned, and I believe it will be overturned, that means what they did to me, they can never be able to do it to the next person to come behind me. And also, I had a civil rights lawyer. I sent him my paperwork, and he's from Minnesota. He flew all the way to Mississippi on August 11th to meet with me in my home, and he have been fighting for me because he said this is the most unjust case he have ever seen. And also, the social worker told me it is the have and the have not. And this is why they taking our children because they think because they have more money than us and more education than us, they have the right to go and take our kids. But they do not have the right to take our kids. Nothing can replace the love of a grandmother. Nothing. Can't nothing, no other. I don't care what she gives. She gave me a letter, and this is what I want people to go on the internet and see. This lady gave me this letter the first day I ever stepped foot in Minnesota after a year and a half fighting to get a visit. And she gave me this letter, and I posted it on the Facebook saying that she would do everything in her power to block me from getting my grandkids. And also she made the most crazy statement that if I take my grandchildren, that her house, everybody in the house will die, the house will burn to the ground. And the judge still let her keep these children talking. To me, that's unstable. And the judge still let her keep these children. And this letter was introduced in court. And I want people to see this letter. And she is trying to convince me to give up the fight, saying that she can give my grandchildren all the things that they need. I cannot give them the love that the grandmother can give them, because it is a love with a grandparent that can't nobody replace. It's a special moment when you have grandchildren and your grandchildren crawls in your lap and tell you how much they love you and how of them, and that bond you have with your grandkids. Nobody can replace that.
Now, when we go to your Facebook, the two children that you're holding are the two children we're talking about.
That is correct. That is correct. And I supposed to have a visit for this month, and she have refused so far to even let me have a visit, because I have been speaking out and posting on the internet, and she are refusing to let me have a visit. So I'm asking the people to please contact the governor of Minnesota and tell them that let me have my visits. You have no reason to take my visits when it's already court order, and she won't even agree to one. She are violating the court order. So I'm asking people to please come on board. Please help me fight this fight. I want to make a difference, not just in Mississippi. I want to make a difference around the world. I want to be an impact around the world to bring this to the end. Now, because we do have families, they say we don't want to take care of our children. We grandparents have always been the backbone of the family. Grandparents have always been the backbone and stand behind the kids.
I'm sorry. I want to let the folks know that I was able to reach out to Sister Dorothy Dunning and Sister Willamay as a result of Sister Agnes Johnson making contact with me by email saying, I'm trying to help this grandmother. Can you get exposure for her story, her quest to get her grandchildren? And naturally, this is what Harlem Community Radio is about. It's about the broad Harlems of the USA and of the world, whether it's Soweto Harlem or whether it's Biloxi Harlem, whether it's Minnesota, Minneapolis Harlem. And these are our people, and these are the things that are happening to us, right around us, that we some of us don't see. I see people walking in the black community, non-black, and some of them look like birds. And they walking with a little black boy, and I'm the only one looking to see where this matchup come from and why the matchup. You understand? And black, I'm looking at my people. You and I got to take notice. Don't not notice, Sister Willie Mae. How in terms of non-black people getting a hold of our children, have you noticed? And I'm asking you a question, the best way I can put it, that they're younger and younger, taking
Absolutely.
Am I right on that? I'm right on my.
You're right on that. I have some stuff here that I'm so scrambled up I can't really give you, but I will email you some stuff. But one of the things, two things I wanted to say to you is, first of all, anybody can get in this fight. You're not too young. You're not too old. I'm 80 years old, and I want you to know that there's a law that's called the kinship law, which if I'm not mistaken, it's a federal law that says that when a child is taken from the family and put into foster care and being considered for adoption, there has to be a kinship search. And that means they have to search within the family and within the community, their community, to see if there will be anyone that will be willing to take that child. And if that is not done, see, this is how Mrs. Dunning's case got out of control, was because that was not done.
intentionally,
so right
intentionally,
away, it was in violation of her right.
Right. It was intentionally not done, and she was sandbagged as she attempted to make contact and get out there.
Mm-hmm.
She was roadblocked because she don't know any better. She can, or person said no, don't come out here now. And so she.
But that's not on her. That's on them because they know it's a law.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
They're in violation of that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the kinship law. I'm sorry, I interrupted you because you were saying that kinship law is there, and it's there to enable a family to stay together. Mm-hmm. And when I say a family to stay together, this child that's of the blood of the parents. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, here in New York,
right,
when I watch these stories, when a non-black person is found to be drunk or derelict in taking care of their child, maybe they left them in the car or something like that, and they were drunk, and so on. And I look at these stories to see how it in the stories there, the stories that I see have quite often ended with the non-blacks as being the child was put in the care of relatives. That's how those stories go. Mm-hmm. But with the black family that is charged with dereliction of taking care of their babies, what they call child services was called. So they go into an agency thing when they're black, and they go into a relative's care when they're non-black. I've seen that in stories. But anyway, that's what I've seen.
That's a whole different story that I won't go into. But that comes under the legal part of it. The system has something that's called labeling and slotting, and the goal is to get young children with a number into the juvenile system, and they get labeled, and then they slide through the system, and when they go into jail or go to prison and they come out, they're slotted and put in a slot where they can't get a job, and they can't do this and can't do that and they can't do the other. So that all works together and is designed to keep people that are working and making money, to keep them making money. Just like the president is now saying how about taxing the people that make a lot of money.
Right.
So we have a upper echelon of people that make their living off of our children because of the label and slotting system, and because of the juvenile system of them taking the children away from us. But it's all because of monies, and I've got that stuff here, but I won't take the time now. But I would like to read you something right quick.
Yes.
It's according to David Sanders, former head of the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services, one of the nation's largest child welfare systems. And it says, what you have now is an incentive to initially remove the child and an incentive to adopt them. And then he said, I think when you put these two together, there is a problem. But that's because of the financial motive for private agencies to act in the capacity that they act in, to change because the goal of the welfare department is supposed to be reunification of that family and getting them back together.
Yes.
But the goal of everybody else is to keep that from happening so that the monies will come in. And then he says, as for parents, with these new laws in place, the federal government would help foster parents care for the children. The federal government would help some adoptive parents care for the children, and the federal government would help institutions care for the children. But it doesn't do anything to help the birth parents to care for the children.
Okay. Well, this is our first interview, And Sister Dorothy Dunning,
Yes.
I want you to just give us some parting words as we conclude this interview. And once again, I remind the audience that I'll be interviewing both of you, the good Lord willing, tomorrow night, Tuesday evening, on blogtalkradio.com/The Keys 107. I'll be interviewing both of you at 9 p.m. New York time. And we'll be going over these, and they'll have an opportunity to call in. You'll have an opportunity to call in on that show, ladies and gentlemen, and we have more lines there. Your parting comments to our audience, my sister.
I'd just like to thank everyone who have came in contact with my case and who is reaching out to help me. And I just want to thank them because it take a village. Like it said, take a village to raise kids. It takes a community as we all need to come together as a community because we know we don't push our children to the side.
Right.
We stand up and we take care of our children. But we got to have the opportunity. Our opportunity is being stripped from us. That's the number one problem. It is being stripped from us. And also, I would like to go back to one thing I was thinking. When they placed my grandchildren in this home, the state paid for 3 nannies now, not 1 nanny. The state paid for 3 nannies to come in and help take care of these kids.
3 nannies?
The state paid for 3 nannies. Taxpayer dollars paying for 3 nannies to come in because altogether the lady had 9 children in the home. So this is an epidemic, just like we saying. We wanna come up and we wanna put a stop to this.
All right.
I wanna put a stop, and I'm asking everybody to please go to Dorothy Dunning Facebook, DUNNING. Go to my Facebook and please help me. Help me to be able to travel backwards and forwards up to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I need your help. And also, I would like your prayers. I really
Amen.
would like your prayers. And I know that y'all going to pray for me, and I believe that you're praying.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I'm just thinking, and I'm just so humbled to be on your radio show. I am just so humbled that you took the time out, just a little old lady like me in Mississippi, to take the time out to let me get my story out.
Sister,
and I also really would like to just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, Sister Dorothy Dunning and Sister Willie Mae Demings, this is our honor and our responsibility to do this, and that's the role of Black Conscious Radio. There's unconscious Black radio, putting our people to sleep, but Black Conscious Radio reaches out and begins to expose those things that need to be exposed and generate help where help is needed. We look forward to our interview with you continuing tomorrow night. God bless you both with a wonderful and a fantastic day.
Thank you. You have a good Jesus Day.
You have a great day.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Whcr 90.3 on the FM dial. Tomorrow, the Central Park Jogger 5 case resumes. It's a hearing, resumes at Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. at the Supreme Court, and that's courtroom 18D, 18D, and that's before Magistrate Judge Ronald Ellis. It's on the 18th floor of the Federal District Courthouse, 500 Pearl Street. You take the train down to Brooklyn Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge stop, and you walk back. Remember, tomorrow, Tuesday, 2:30 p.m., and your presence does make a difference. It does make a difference, ladies and gentlemen. We want to pack the court, let them know that we're on the case. And also listen to Brother Martin Lawrence tonight at 7, Sister Nellie Bailey tonight at 6 here on WHCR, the station that gives you information regarding the Black community around the nation and around the world. God bless you all. Thank you for your support. And Sister Thrasher, thank you for your contribution. God bless you and your family. Peace.
Are you a singer, a musician, or a producer? Are you looking to record a demo, a song, or an entire album? This is Angela Harden, General Manager of WHCR 90.3 FM, and I'm excited to tell you that you no longer have to travel all the way downtown to record your project. WHCR offers a state-of-the-art recording studio with an experienced engineer. Our studio is affordably priced and conveniently located in the heart of Harlem, right here on the campus of City College. For rates and information, please call 212-650-7147. That's 212-650-7147. Harlem has its own radio station and its own recording studio.
Each year, 650,000 individuals are released from jails and prisons across America. There's a 67% chance that they'll be incarcerated again within 3 years. While this is a big problem, there's an even bigger solution: education. Education is the most effective response to crime, and College Initiative works to make college a realistic goal for formerly incarcerated New Yorkers. College Initiative works to help formerly incarcerated individuals to become stabilizing forces in their communities and advocates towards working for a safer New York. For more information, visit www.collegeinitiative.org.
Did you know that when you apply for a job, your credit history may affect your chances of getting hired? And if you already have a job, your credit history can still be used against you. That's because a growing number of employers use credit reports to make hiring and firing decisions. This practice can have a discriminatory impact on people and communities of color and unfairly block many qualified people from employment. Help end this practice by speaking up. If you or someone you know has been turned down for a job or even fired from a job because of credit checks by an employer, please call NEDAP's Financial Justice Hotline at 212-925-4929.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Variedades Latinas es música, alegría, entretenimiento, farándula, deportes, noticias, comentarios y mucho más. Y ahora prepárate porque oficialmente comienza el programa que te fascina. Variedades Latinas.
Variedades latinas, lo mejor de Nueva York. Música, farándula y mucho más. Un manantial de información. Y aquí llegó el fiel de la radio. Puntual y al día, Arismendi García. Ahora te invita a disfrutar. ¡Hey!
Buenos días, ¿qué tal mi gente? Un placer inmenso estar de regreso con ustedes. Hoy es lunes, comienzo de semana, 12 del mes de noviembre, año 2012. Me paré ahí en el 12 porque precisamente hoy pues es una fecha de recordación trágica para la comunidad dominicana, cuando un día como hoy fue la tragedia del vuelo 587 que viajaba a República Dominicana. Hace precisamente hoy 11 años de esa tragedia. Pues hoy estamos a 12 del mes de noviembre, año 2012. Los buenos días y la bienvenida a cada uno de ustedes. Les tendemos la invitación para que nos acompañen como de costumbre hasta las 2 de la tarde en este maravilloso día, esperando que ya la estén pasando súper bien, súper chévere. Mi nombre es Arismendi Mendi, de cariño el fiel. Más adelante estaremos en compañía de Martín de la Cruz, Raquelín. Ustedes y nosotros estaremos haciendo de este día un día maravilloso que esperamos sea de su más completo agrado. Recuerden, puede establecer contacto con nosotros a través de la línea telefónica al 212-650-6903. De esta forma hacemos oficialmente la entrada a lo que es la parte musical de su espacio Variedades Latinas en este lunes, comienzo de semana. Quédate ahí pegadito a tu radio. Recuerda, puedes comunicarte con nosotros. Te repito la línea, 650-6903 con el 212.
amor.